folks, it's Zach at Feel Free to Argue, and was watching Democracy Now! This morning, and I came across what has got to be one of the most disturbing stories that I've seen in recent memory, which is pretty impressive considering how many depressing and disturbing stories you can see on Democracy Now! This one had to do with Luzerne County, Pennsylvania, a place where I have lived before, and it had to do with a couple of corrupt judges who were basically selling kids without representation into the into the prison industrial complex. Everything's got to be an industrial complex, eh? And the most amazing part of this is that the total venality of it. That they were just blithely throwing away these young lives for money. Millions of dollars in money. Bribes paid to them by these private prison contractors who then mistreated the kids. There was a girl on the program who had been in one of these places and talked about how she had never been diagnosed with depression, had never been medicated regularly in her whole life. Suddenly she was, having meds being thrown at her, and said that if she did not take them, that she was not cooperating and that she would get into trouble. Yeah. And what were these kids in there for? I mean, were they murdering? Were they, pulling guns on people? Well, they had two people on. There was a boy, Kurt Kruger, and a girl, Jamie Quinn. And the boy, he was the lookout for his girlfriend while she attempted to shoplift some DVDs. They got caught. They didn't run or anything. They waited. The police showed up. He had some problems later on. He was separated from his father and living with a friend, and apparently his father got notification of a court date that he didn't pass on, and then one day the police showed up at his school and took him off. He was never appraised of his rights. He was never told of his right to a lawyer, why it might be a good idea to have one. The girl, she and a friend of hers had a disagreement. They each slapped the other. And that was it. They disagreed about something. They slapped each other. She didn't file assault charges, but the other girl did. And that was it. That got her sent to prison for a year. And the boy was in prison for 4 months. Probably would have been in there longer if we didn't get finally confessions, thanks to an FBI investigation of these judges. What has become of us? That we think it is okay to throw people's lives away so easily. These are real people. There are real consequences to them, their families, their future. The girl talked about how she is treated differently now at school because she was gone for so long. How she used to be an A and B student in math, her favorite subject, but now she struggles with C's. Amy Goodman asked them each for a final comment at the end. This is what the girl said to Jamie. It just makes me really question other authority figures and people that we're supposed to look up to and trust. I mean, Ciavarella has been a judge for a long time, from what I know, and a well-respected one, is what I thought, and obviously not. It just really makes me question and not trust other people. I mean, if someone like Judge Ciavarella could do this, then it makes me believe that anyone can betray the law, and I don't know. Kurt had this to say. Well, basically, I just want to say that finally there's some sort of closure for me, at least coming from the lawsuits from the Juvenile Law Center. There's at least a little bit of closure for me, and I hope that's the same case for everyone who's involved. Amy Goodman closed with a piece that was done by a death row inmate. His name is Mumia Abu Jamal. Now I'm going to read that at this point now. So I thought it was very compelling. He's a very, very good writer, actually. With judges like these in Pennsylvania's Luzerne County, there are 9 judges of the Court of Common Pleas. 2 of them just pleaded guilty to a conspiracy to convict and sentence juveniles to a private prison so that they could get kickbacks from the prison's builders and owners. According to published accounts, Judge Mark A. Ciavarella and Senior Judge Michael T. Conahan sent hundreds of boys and girls to the private facility and pocketed some $2.5 million in kickbacks. This was accomplished not merely because of the venal greed of the judges, but because virtually none of the children were provided with legal representation. When the Pennsylvania-based Juvenile Law Center filed a petition in the Pennsylvania Supreme Court calling the county's practice of adjudicating and sentencing some 250 kids to jail without legal representation unconstitutional, the state's highest court denied the petition on January 8th. A month later, they changed their minds, vacating the denial. What transpired in the interim? Well, for one thing, the 2 judges pleaded guilty to federal charges of wire service fraud. Hundreds of children get sucked into jail after clearly unconstitutional proceedings with no legal representation, and the state Supreme Court doesn't even raise an eyebrow. The media reports on this outrage, and the Pennsylvania Supreme Court expresses a little interest. This is the nature of judging these days, when even kids are expendable fodder for the prison industrial complex. Luzerne County is the state's 10th largest county, with just over 300,000 souls. At least 22% of their judges have admitted being corrupt in the sordid business of selling the freedom of poor children for profit. From death row, this is Mumia Abu Jamal. Well, it seems that we can get true lessons in morality from people on death row. I don't even know what to say. Throwing young lives away like this. It makes me think that there's no hope. If people can't see this kind of wrong, then there's something deeply wrong with us. Zach Elliott, you can feel free to argue.